Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
You really adopted the dark. I was born in it.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Bazinga.
2 in the box. Ready to go.
We be fast.
They be slow.
Cool.
All right, and we're recording. Welcome to the What's Up Bro podcast. Nope, that's the wrong podcast. Welcome. That's what happens. That's what happens when you have when you have multiple podcasts. Welcome to the What You Got. No, not that one either. All right. Welcome to Shiver. God damn it, man. Welcome to the Mt.Geekmore podcast, your favorite podcast where we like to talk about, discuss, argue, and debate your favorite, your top 4 Mount Rushmore, if you will, of your favorite pop culture subjects. Today's pop culture subject, as you can tell by looking at your listening device, is our favorite episodes of The Office, U.S. edition.
Right.
So that's a thing. I am Nary Science. With me, as usual, is Jeff.
Hey, yo.
And we have David.
Howdy.
And back again, Daniel DeBona.
Hey, y'all.
All right.
DeBona.
Wait, hold on. Let me write down the streak of Howdy is now at 1. All right. Perfect.
It has been X many episodes since Howdy was not used.
It's like that sad first game after Cal Ripken came back after missing one.
Oh, you remember that? But he got himself out of that lineup. What a douche.
Yeah.
He did. He knocked himself out that day. He sure did.
All right. Hold on.
Right, Dave?
There you go.
Well, you're talking about Cal Ripken Jr., sir.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
Who's not an Orioles fan, right?
Huh? Am I right? I mean, at least in the 80s. Am I good?
Right.
All right. So we are doing Office episodes of The Office, favorite episodes of The Office. How did you guys make your selections, Dave?
All right. So I saw The Office as it was airing, and I've never done a proper binge watch. So I've seen episodes here and there. I started a binge watch maybe 2 years ago and just never finished it. So a lot of this is just going off of my memory. I did go and rewatch a handful of episodes. Some of them held up really well. Some of them did not. And so that's kind of how I made my list. I just kind of went off of what I remembered being my favorites, good, bad, or whatever. And then, that's it. That's all she wrote.
All right. DeBona, how did you make your selection?
So everybody's got that one show where they can go to no matter how they're feeling, and they know the show so well that they can pick and choose what they want to watch to match how they're feeling. The Office is that show for me. I've seen this through at least 5 times from beginning to end. I know every episode forward and backwards. So this was tough for me in picking best versus favorite versus this versus that. So what it eventually kind of came down to was when I was done with my list, I realized it's a reflection of just kind of what's going on right now and how I'm feeling. When I was done with my list, I realized they're very, they mirror kind of things that are going on right now and how I feel about different things. So if we were to do this episode in 2 months, I may have a completely different list, but this is the pandemic 20 list.
I like the fact that you put 20 because, it might change. It might happen again.
Right.
So we're like, all right, let's just prepare for that.
Hashtag second place.
All right. Jeff, how did you make your selection?
So with me, it was very much like DeBona. This is a series I probably watched 4 or 5 times already, like in its entirety. I just rewatched it again when we first said we were going to do this episode. My number one was pretty clear for me because it's always been the episode that when somebody says to me, "What's your favorite episode of The Office?" I immediately say that episode. So that one was the easy one. There's just so many great episodes in the first 5 seasons of the show that it was really hard. But I realized I tend to lean towards the episode where Michael's most offensive, as my list will kind of reflect. But the thing is, it's such a great show that it's so hard to really narrow it down. I did the best I could. I've got about 6 honorable mentions. I could have done an entire episode just on a mountain on one season in particular, which I guess it doesn't matter. I'll say it's season 3. It to me is the season that has the most best episodes of the show. But yeah, I mean, my number one was the easy one. The other 3 were kind of crapshoot, but I have reasons for them as compared to the other ones.
Okay. Yeah, I've watched. I was my wife and I were late to The Office in the sense of we didn't start watching until like it was when I forget which season was airing, but it was probably 8 years ago that we started watching this show. Maybe 9 years ago. So whatever that is, that's 2011. So what was that? The last season, 2011 was airing. So we started watching it then, and then we've binge watched it.
2011 wasn't the final season because season 8 was still going in 2012. So
Okay.
it would have been 12, 13.
Yeah. So then we started, and then but we never watched it live. We started watching. I remember my wife and I watched season 1 in one sitting because it's only a few episodes, and then we didn't know if we liked it or not. And then we waited another like 8 months to then watch it. Not only watch season 1 again, but then start watching the show. We never watched it live while it was airing, and we all love that show. My wife and I love that show. I've binge watched. I've just sat through. I just did another binge watch probably last October. Like I just did it out of like just for no reason. At one point, one of my proudest moments is 5 years ago when I still had a day job. I binge watched the entire series while at work, and it was one of my greatest accomplishments. I loved the fact that I was watching a show about an office that gets nothing done while I was in an office getting nothing done. It was fucking great. And the thing is, I couldn't even post it online because then I'd get fired. But I was like, "Fuck it, this is amazing."
Well, would you have gotten fired? Because I know where you worked, and people literally have like YouTube.
Oh, I'll say it now. Yeah, I work at State Farm. And here's the thing, though. Everybody in the company is watching something. They had to send emails during the World Cup because everybody was fucking watching it on their computer. So they're fully aware that people are slacking off. It's just that if you go online, once I go online and start fucking bragging about slacking off, I think that's a little, an actual slap in the face type of deal. So I never wanted to risk it. But no longer there. So can't fire me because I quit. But I love the show a lot. I will tell you this: I am not a big fan of Michael Scott. So I've said this many times before. I'm not a big fan of Michael Scott. So I don't get it.
Someone I don't know if that makes sense.
What?
No, because it was really jumpy and we couldn't understand you.
Oh, someone I pity.
Yeah, someone you pity.
I don't really pity.
Yeah.
I don't really. I don't know if I pity him.
There's a couple episodes that make you pity him.
Yeah.
I think he's just got really bad Asperger's.
Is there good Asperger's? Like, is there the good? Like, you make it seem like there's a good.
I broke the boat.
That's why I was laughing so hard. Like, he's got the bad Asperger's.
Yeah, like the really.
It's not the Kobe beef Asperger's.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Cable. Anyway.
So yeah, that's how. So I made my selection. All of that to say that I made my selection. Looking at my and I didn't do this on purpose, but looking at my picks, I made exactly 9 picks. And looking at the ones that I chose just now that I finalized my mountain, they have very little, if anything, to do with Michael Scott. So that's how I made, and I didn't do it on purpose. Again, I was just like, oh, I like this one, and I'm like, oh, it wasn't until Jeff said the more offensive Michael Scott is. I'm like, is Michael in these episodes? And I'm also I love this show. First of all, the podcast TV Life with our friend David A. Smith. That's the show that I picked. Is The Office. I love this show throughout. I stand on that hill, and I will die on the hill of the show did not get any worse when Michael left. So that's how much I am. So all right.
Hell yeah.
All right, let's start off with our number 4s.
With the 4th pick.
Number 4. Round 4.
I'm in no mood for your wives' crap. Let's get it on.
All right, David, what do we got for our number 4s, brother?
My number 4 is season 2, episode 20, drug testing.
That's an honorable mention for me.
Season 2, episode 20.
I love the idea that, number one, Michael goes to an Alicia Keys concert. Because I can just picture him there at the Alicia Keys concert. Also, it's never really kind of explained that it's his joint. Right?
No, it is.
Well,
no,
I
he says he says it is.
It must have fallen out of his car. I thought it was the assumption. I thought.
Okay. Well, I just rewatched it today. You never find out whose joint it is.
That is true.
So he never says that he actually smoked.
I mean, it's Creed. Come on.
Okay, see, I was that it was actually Creed, and that Michael really believes that he got contact high.
I love it, and I love his argument about it is like, but she told me it was clove, but I always wanted to talk to a girl with a nose ring. Like that was his justification, or lip ring.
Yeah, you get Dwight at one of his like peak Dwight moments. You know, dressed up in his police officer, what Michael calls a costume.
Yes.
But you also get to see a part of Dwight that I don't think comes through often enough, which is how much he genuinely loves Michael. Like, it's not just that it's, okay, you're my boss, you're my superior, but there's a genuine love there where he's willing to make Angela unhappy. He's willing to make himself unhappy, go against everything that he believes in, because the man who he considers his best friend is asking him for a favor.
It's a great pick. I honestly didn't even think about that episode, but the one thing I always go back to, there's this one just spectacular like throwaway joke from that episode where Ryan's talking to the urinalysis lady, and he's just like, so if I did this job, like, would I travel? She's like, you want to test urine? He's like, I mean, do I get to travel? Like, like at that point, he's so hard up to get away from Kelly already, like in season 2. It's such a great like little throwaway moment, and what is a very good episode.
Well, and then you've got Dwight. I love when Dwight talks to her. It's like, you might remember me. You tested my urine a few years ago. He's like, I test a lot of urine. And he's like, yeah, mine was green. And she's like, oh. And she goes, are you better? He goes, yeah, I got better. But and then you've also got the whole thing with like Pam and Jim, because they have at that episode they have the whole thing with the Jinx buy me a Coke.
Yeah,
right? Jim can't talk the whole time, and they do that whole thing in the meeting.
This amazing like pantomime where Pam is like, oh, you know what? I think Jim would really like to talk about some family history with drugs, and he stands up and he delivers this like really convincing.
Pam even goes, he fake cried.
Yeah,
he fucking fake cried. Like she's impressed by what the fuck he did. And then eventually she's like, just buy the Coke for me, because there's no Coke available in the vending machine. And she's like, I miss my best friend. We need to talk after all this is going on.
There's also a really beautiful moment between him and her. Because if I'm remembering correctly, because remember, I didn't binge watch the whole thing for this.
You just watched it today.
Okay, I understand. Can I fucking finish?
I just like the fact that you said, if I remember correctly. I mean, you just watched it today. Like, that's all.
Mary, he doesn't remember what he ate for lunch.
My bad.
Goldfish
Go ahead.
brain. Remember.
My fault.
Go, boo boo.
Are they a couple at this point?
No.
They're not, right?
No.
She's still having an illicit affair mentally. Sorry, go ahead. Continue.
She was emotionally cheating.
No, I don't think she's with Roy anymore at that point either.
No, she's still with Roy. Because Casino Night is the episode 2 finale, and she's still with Roy at Casino Night.
Okay. All right. So yeah, there's I couldn't remember where in the Jim and Pam timeline this fell, because I was just dropping into certain moments of the show. I couldn't remember where exactly they were. Right. So there was a moment when she's talking to him and he can't respond. And I can't remember the thing that she says, but
She says, I can see it on your face. There's something that you want to tell me. Like there's something that you need to tell me, but that you can't tell me. And like she keeps pressuring him until she realizes that there's genuinely something really huge that he cannot tell her.
Right. And you see it on his face, and she's just kind of like, "Oh shit, okay, I gotta ease off here." And it's like a great bit of acting from Krasinski, who I think might genuinely be the best actor of the bunch there. It's so there's so much in this episode. I love it. I'm glad that this one kind of stood the test of time for me, because it had been quite a while since I had seen.
Yeah, it's an honorable mention for me. I really enjoyed that episode.
I love the fact that David basically picked a whodunit. Even in talking about The Office, he just picked a whodunit.
Well, there's still a murder mystery.
And yet there's still another whodunit episode.
I know.
The murder mystery. There has been a murder.
Oh God!
I got to. Mm-hmm. Yeah, whatever.
All right.
Whatever.
All right. So season 2, episode 20, drug testing. All right, good chance. DeBono, what do we got, brother?
So when I put this one on my list, I expected to get a lot of shit for it because it is a Michael-less episode. But after hearing you talk, Neri, I feel like maybe I'm not going to catch quite as much. But I feel like the absolute unsung hero when people look back on how great The Office was Robert California. And
I love him. I love him so much.
Oh, God,
James Spader's the best, man.
He's so good. So my number 4 is season 8, episode 12, Pool Party.
Such a good episode.
Oh,
dude.
the pool party. I remember that one. Okay.
And so
is it episode 12 you said? Episode 12?
Episode 12, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So it's a really great episode. It's right after Robert refused to let his wife get a job there, so she's leaving him, and he's selling his mansion. And Kevin comes up with this idea to throw a big party, and Robert California goes along with it. So they all show up at this just huge place that he's got. Jim is bragging about how he's going to be in and out, ends up getting sucked into just drinking bottles and bottles of wine while they tour the house. Just each room is individually very funny. The way he gives the tour. When they get to the bedroom, he's like, I had 2 bears sewn together to make this room. What a waste of 2 bears. Just so many great little moments. You've got Aaron flirting with Dwight, trying to get Andy back, and Dwight just being awful at it with the chips and everything. And it's this really great episode that's funny throughout. It definitely continues to tell all of the season 8 storylines with Val and, like I said, with Andy and Aaron. But my favorite part is at the very end when he goes back out to the pool and people are swimming and having chicken fights, and Creed is sitting there in a Speedo and a crown, playing guitar. And Robert California has this really deep moment where he says something along the lines of, I spent so much time being sad about the times that never were. I didn't realize how great the times right here in front of me are.
Yes.
And so you eventually you get to the Andy quote that I won't ruin in case somebody's got it saved from way later in the show. But that was the precursor to the very famous Andy quote, the one that everybody always likes to talk about. But it was just this really great moment where he came to this realization that even though he's this millionaire and he just bought the company, or not bought the company, became CEO of the company on a whim, and became these, and he just thinks they're all idiots. But he realizes that these are his friends and that these are the people he should have been having a great time with. And it's just a really great culmination. And then he just gets butt ass naked and jumps in the pool, and Jim takes out the mailbox on his way out. They still end with a great sight gag after that really sentimental moment. It's a fantastic episode.
I know. I remember. I didn't get to that in my rewatch now, but I distinctly remember that episode. Wasn't there? Was it Andy that had the engagement ring? Somebody had the engagement. Okay.
Yeah.
And it gets lost in the pool when Stanley moves his pants.
Yeah.
And it's just, like I said, there's just, and then there's the whole thing where Oscar thinks that Toby is a wine aficionado because of some random ass thing he says when he's drinking the wine. And there's this one part where Toby, realizing he knows nothing about wine and just lucked into it, and he looks at the wine bottle in a confessional and goes, "It's a dangerous game you're playing, Toby."
That's such a great line. That's such a fucking great line. The dangerous game you're playing.
it's one of those episodes that you don't think back to a lot because in the grand scheme of the plot line, not a ton was moved forward. But there's just so many really funny and really heartfelt moments. Erin finds the engagement ring. I'm just walking you through the episode at this point, but she knows the Bernard family seal on the ring. I mean, there's just it's from beginning to end. It's funny. It's touching. It's like I said, ends on a great sight gag. It's a very, very good episode.
Is that the episode? And I'm just because I haven't seen that episode since October. Is that the episode where Robert California casually drops in a line about Colombian cocaine?
No, that's. Oh wait, yeah. That's at the very beginning.
Yeah.
When he's at the very beginning of the episode, he's like, "I got into a case." Oh no, that's a later episode.
Okay.
But he says, "I got into a case of something reds and how should I say Colombian white."
Yeah.
and Ryan looks at the camera and nods.
Yeah, of course he does.
Yeah, and then by the way, and then even past the gym gag, there's the whole thing where Ryan and Gabe are both desperately trying to be Robert California's favorite, so they both refuse to leave the party, even though he's so drunk he passes out, and they're like sweaty and dancing with their shirts unbuttoned and stuff. It's ridiculous. I love that episode.
Yeah, it's fantastic, dude. It's fantastic. Yeah. Great fucking. All right, Jeff, what do we got, brother?
All right. So my number 4, I think it was also on our Mountain of Christmas shows, but I keep going back to it every time. And my number 4 is from season 3, episode 10, Benihana Christmas.
You were right, by the way. Those are different girls.
Oh, 100%. The girls from the restaurant are different girls than the ones
completely different. Completely different. Which I looked into it.
Wait, did anybody not? Did you guys think that it was the same? Who thought it was the same chick?
The two girls. Well, because the two girls he was talking to.
Right. He didn't. I'm saying, but did you guys not know? Did you guys think it was the same actress?
I didn't realize that from before. No. I didn't want to be racist and be like, are those the same age? I was like, I had to be sure. I rewatched it like 2 or 3 times. But apparently they said that they did that on purpose to like make it even more racist. Like the episode. But the thing is, the Benihana Christmas, like I keep going back to it, and I was on my mountain of the Christmas shows, and it's just you've got Michael going through heartbreak because Carol breaks up with him because he photoshops his picture into her family's t-shirt pictures from a few years ago.
It's a bold move to Photoshop yourself into a family photo with your girlfriend and her husband. But Michael Scott's a bold man.
Yeah, that gym line's amazing in that episode. And then you've got Pam trying to like work that relationship back with Jim. Jim's now being looked at as the number 2 in the office. She gives him a Christmas present of having messed with Dwight and saying that the CIA is trying to recruit him. And she's like, your Christmas present is you get to tell him what his mission is. And Jim at the beginning is kind of like, I can't do it. I'm trying to move up on whatever, which breaks her heart. But eventually he realizes it. But, you've got the power struggle between Angela and Karen and Pam with the competing Christmas parties, where it's just it's hysterical because it's a Nutcracker Christmas versus the margarita karaoke party. Like
that's I love the fact that they got the party they had the party planning committee and the committee to plan parties. Oh, it's fucking great.
It's like, but you don't have a budget. What's your budget? $200. What's ours? Oh, $201. Like
on the one hand, Angela's party is going to have double fudge brownies, but it will also have Angela.
Kevin is the unsung hero of The Office. Okay,
fact.
Great line.
Fact.
Kevin is the unsung hero of The Office, and we'll talk about him later. But
I don't know, man. For me, it's between him and Stanley.
Well, Creed's my favorite character in The Office. I'll tell you that right now. Creed has always been, because for me, Creed, the lines that he has throughout it, those random lines that he just throws in.
My favorite Creed moment is in the murder mystery party.
Well, yeah. Okay. I see an ear, I pay attention. So one of my favorite gags, and it's again, I'm going back to I realize I love Michael when he's the most racist. Is in this episode is when he doesn't realize which one's his date, and it's my favorite gag in the entire Office is this scene where he just walks. He's like, hey, where's my girl? Is she here? Is she here? Yeah. He's like, is she here? Is she here? She goes, you know where I am? He goes, oh, yeah, I do. And then he hugs her and marks her with a marker on her arm. Like, that is my favorite fucking thing in The Office. And, like, he gives her his bike, like, the bike that he was going to give to the kids. The one thing about this episode is at the very end, you get Jim and Michael having this serious heart-to-heart where Jim basically tells Michael, like, because Michael feels awful, and he goes, this is a rebound. You had a rebound. Sometimes you have to have that rebound so then, you can really, but the rebound's not going to do anything except make you more sad because it's not the girl that you're trying to forget about, and it works for both of them. Unfortunately, Jan is Michael's, muse, so he ends up inviting her to Sandals at the end, but which leads to another amazing episode. But this episode, the other thing is two other things real quick. So this episode has one of the famous lines of Michael in the entire series where he's like, "It's bros before hoes," but sometimes, but it's like the bros before, but sometimes your hoe isn't your hoe no mo.
No mo.
Like, and then Angela has one of the best lines in this. I think one of the best lines she ever said in the show when they go into the first party and the girl's taking the brownie and she's walking out and Angela goes up there and goes, hey, what are you doing? Give that back to me. And she goes, oh, I thought I could take this. She goes, I don't go into your house and take your Hello Kitty back.
Oh my God, that's such a great fucking line. Dude. Oh my God.
I'm like, holy shit.
When Jim tells Dwight that the girl's trying to explain how to properly butcher a goose.
That's one of my favorite lines. That's one of my favorite fucking gags that Jim has done, and he's done a million of them. But I love that fucking gag, dude.
And like, not only is Dwight yelling how to butcher a goose, but he's miming it with a chopstick.
And the girl's like, "What the fuck?" And then when he's arguing with the chef about the cutting style, yeah, and the girl next to him is like, he would know.
I think he would know. Yeah, I think he would know. So fucking good, man.
But I mean, I keep going back to this episode because I love it so much. Like, I rewatched it today, and I still laugh, and I still appreciate it, and I love that conversation that him and Jim have at the end. I love how there's that one moment where you kind of realize that Stanley is like the unreally mentioned head of the office, because when he stands up when both parties are open, everybody's watching him to see where he goes before they make a decision, and then they follow him, except for Kevin because he wants his double fudge brownies. But I think it was a great episode. They let Creed sing because he's a real singer. He has an actual band, in the karaoke. And that was an original song of his band. Oh, really?
Yeah, that was an original song. Yeah.
Oh, and Kevin doing "You Ought to Know" by Alanis Morissette.
you.
So, I mean, I know I've talked about it before, but I love this episode. It's one of my personal favorites, so I put it on the mountain.
Right on, man.
So, Benihana Christmas.
All right. Right on. All right, Benihana Christmas. Season 3, episode 10. All right. My number 4 is season 5, episode 14 and 15, Stress Relief.
Table.
Honorable mention for me, Sam.
Thank God you're not arguing that they're both one episode. Thank you.
Well, they have the same name.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. No, I agree with you.
Same night. Didn't that air after the Super Bowl?
Yeah, they're after the Super Bowl. There's a couple of double episodes that are the same episode. I mean, it makes it easy to make that distinction as far as for the podcast sake, because they have the same title. Like, it's not even.
Right.
It's not.
Just an hour-long episode.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. I'm not arguing. I'm done.
You know what? As a matter of fact, now that you bring it up, no, only one episode counts, and I'm going with episode 15 and not 14. No, I'm fucking wrong. All right,
fine. So, I'm going with 14. Fuck you.
So none of us get a perfect mountain. All right, so for number 4s, we had drug testing, pool party, Benihana Christmas, and stress relief.
Round 3.
3 is a magic number. Yes, it is.
All right. 3. What do we got, David? Hit me up.
All right, so I'm going to pull an audible here, and I'm going to switch my 2 and 3 around. So my number 3 is season 3, episode 9, The Convict.
That is also my number 3.
Oh,
Season 3, episode 9?
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the Michael is a racist piece of crap.
He tries so hard to not be racist.
That's true. That's true. Because at the beginning, when they're like, "Who do you think the convict is?" and they're like, "It could be." Kevin's like, "It could be Martin." It's like, why? Because you think he's black? Like that's the line. Do you think he's black? and then Jan's like, "Oh, it's Martin. Somebody named Martin. I forgot what his last name is." And Michael's like, "Why did it have to be the black guy?" That's so stereotypical.
I love the sort of vision exercise that he does. He's like, I want you to close your eyes. we're going to imagine a convict here, a criminal here. He's got a baseball cap on backwards, saggy pants on. I want you to open your eyes now. What did you imagine? Did you imagine a black man? He goes, that was a white grandmother.
And then you've got Andy Bernard asking about he calls Jim. He's like, I'm horny, and Jim's like, I can't help you with that. And he's like, oh, but I think you can. And he's like, wait, what? And he starts asking about all the girls in the office, and Jim tells him, oh yeah, you should totally hit on Pam. She loves frisbee sports. She loves what was it? It was frisbee sports. It was.
The Six Flags commercial with the old guy.
And hunting. And
falsetto.
Do you play guitar? He goes, I play the banjo. He goes, that'll do.
And then I love that when Michael, one of the lines that, and I picture Neary every time he says this line, that he's talking after he outs, like he does very often. Hey, we all know that he's the criminal. It's like, but name me a white man you trust, and I'll name you a black man I trust. And people start naming, and then the last one, Jim's like, or no, it wasn't Jim. I forgot who. I think it was Angela. Like, Jesus Christ. And he just goes, Apollo Creed.
This is Danny Glover over Pam's mom, I think.
Yeah.
And
like
he
Justin Bieber.
Stanley. Or Martin, for that matter.
But this episode gives us my favorite Mike character.
Prison Mike. Best.
Is my fucking favorite character.
Do you like Prison Mike the best? I love I love Date Mike. Date Mike
greater than Prison Mike.
My brother, there, man.
I have a pillow of Prison Mike because I just love Prison Mike. Just like, well, he just goes up there, just like, what's to stop me from pinning you up against the wall, biatch? And everybody's like, whoa. And he's like, that's the way we talk into Clink.
You'd be DeBella DeBall.
Ryan, that's the best.
When they're like, what did you have to eat? We had gruel sandwiches.
Yeah. And it's all because Martin's telling them about prison, and it sounds so much better than working at the office.
Oh, wait. My favorite part is when Martin is telling them about how he did inside trading, and this is what he went away for.
Yeah.
Cuts to Kevin, and he's like, I had Martin explain to me what he did like 3 times. Because it sounds a lot like what I do here every day.
Yeah.
And then he takes him to the parking lot for rec time, and he's got like the 5-pound weight. And
so Jim goes to him, "Is that a 5-pounder?" He goes, 2.5. I'm going for tone, not bulk.
Yeah.
And then Prison Mike, it's like, what's the worst part of prison? The Dementors. Is that a Harry Potter thing? No.
Now, you know, it's funny. I just started watching Harry Potter and something of the Phoenix, whatever the fucking movie is. I'm not a Harry Potter guy.
Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm not a Harry Potter guy. So I just started watching it for the first time the other day, and then the opening scene, there's a Dementor, and then I asked my wife is a huge Harry Potter fan. I'm like, is that a Dementor? And she goes, yeah. And I go, they're the worst part of prison.
And then I love that they ask him, they're like, so Prison Mike, what'd you get into prison for? And he says like a couple things, and he's like, and kidnapping the president's son, but they never caught me. And they're like, but then how did you end up in prison?
But he says the same thing twice. He goes, stealing and robbery.
Yeah.
and then the president's son.
And then he locks them all in there because he's like, oh, is that better? He locks them in the conference room.
I like what I like about this episode is this is one of the very few times, if the only, I'm trying to recall another one, excuse me, where he actually listens to Toby, where he actually gives Toby a chance, and Toby's like, they're messing with you, right? He's like, it's not prison, like it's better than prison, they're just messing with you. And then like he immediately like, oh, okay, yeah, come on guys, you guys, you pranksters or whatever. And I'm like, oh shit,
time off for good behavior.
And I said I remember that every time I watch that episode, I'm like, it's so uncharacteristic of him to actually listen to Toby. And like it works.
The reason why he listens is because Toby is saying good things about Dunder Mifflin. And there's only two things that Michael Scott cares about, and it's his employees to, in his own weird way, right? Because they're his family and his friends,
right? And
Dunder Mifflin. It's the only things that he cares about.
And Jan's fake tits.
Stop caring about those.
And his condo.
But that's my number 3 also, Dave the Convict. I just love I love that episode.
So good.
All right, good episode, man. All right, DeBono, what do we got?
All right, now that the precedent has been set for 2-parters with the same name, my number 3 is season 6, episodes 4 and 5, Niagara.
Table.
Great.
Okay.
Oh. Neri cheated. He just did double parts of his whole mouth.
Dude, I almost legitimately, when I made my list, as I kept going down, I was like, damn, two-parter. Like, I seriously did, because I've got Stress Relief as an honorable mention, and then I've got a couple, and then I've got Niagara, and I've got one more in here that's a 2-parter.
We will table that one too, sir. My number 3 is season 5, episode 26, Company Picnic.
Oh God!
All right.
Slumdunder Mifflinaire.
So fucking good. This is the only episode on my list. This is the only episode that Michael plays a significant role in this episode. I love Michael with Holly. That's when I like Michael, when they humanize him and they make him likable, because they have to put Holly. That's how great Holly is, that she makes Michael Scott likable. And I love this episode for multiple reasons. First of all, can I just say how hard it is for me as a viewer to have a balance of liking Michael and hating Idris Elba in the same fucking episode. For me to get that is very impressive, and this episode does both. I love the fact that he doesn't like Jim, and everybody loves Jim, and he's like, hey, isn't it nice to take a break from your break?
when he spikes on him in the volleyball game, and he's like, look who just woke up.
Yeah,
I've been up all morning.
It's fucking great. And he's such a that's the last time we see Idris Elba. That's the last time we see him in the office. And I love the fact that he is so petty. Idris Elba's character is so petty, where he was like, no, this is a company picnic, you're hurt, you gotta go to the doctor, we can't sign off on that. And he was like, you're just saying that because she's our best, you want to get our best player out of the game. And he was like, Jim, you put in the safety of your fiance in front of this game. It's just a company game. Like, it's just such a dirtbaggy thing. Like, it's so transparent, but it's so great. And then the Dunder Mifflin, was it?
Slumdunder Mifflinaire.
Yeah, it's fucking so great. And he goes, when they do that whole game, and he says, which branch is closing? Buffalo. And then they're like, what the fuck, is this true? And then that conversation that he has with the owner, where he was like, with the president, where he's like, that was told to you in secret. He goes, oh, I didn't know they did it. How am I supposed to know if they didn't know? And he goes, how about the fact that they were here? That didn't set off any flags? The fact that they're still here at the company picnic? So fucking good. I love this episode. But here's the underlying theme on Most of My Mountain. The underlying theme, and again, you know, just a reflection of who I am, is the end of that episode. how it ends and the fact that we get to find out that Pam is pregnant from that episode. So on top of all the funny shit that's going on, I love Phyllis getting hurt at the volleyball game when she didn't do anything, and she goes, "Oh, my ankle," and they're like, "What happened?" "I twisted it." Like, "But you were just standing there," and she's like, "Oh, I'm out," and then she starts fucking literally just trotting, like she just like she just like starts skipping out to the sideline. I think it was hilarious. But after all of that hilariousness, is the two things that I love the most is Michael says he finally grows up, and he finally, because it's all about him right now. And when he says there's no rush because we're meant to be together and we're gonna end up together anyway, that was very touching, and I love that. And then to get the way we the audience are told that Pam is pregnant is pretty fucking great. So that's up there with that's why it's up there on my list. So
I remember watching that when it aired, and knowing it was the finale, I'm like, I gotta fucking wait like 4 months to find out what the fuck is gonna go on here. That was a crazy wait, and that was like the height of the show. That was a great season finale, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It was fantastic.
It's a great episode. You're right, because you talk about how you don't like Michael Scott, and I'm very much the same way. I view Michael Scott as cheap bourbon. Right, cheap bourbon will get the job done. I'll laugh at Michael Scott. It'll get the job done. It's funny. Cheap bourbon will get me drunk, but with Holly to cut it as a mixer, then it's actually can be enjoyable. And that's always been my Michael Scott analogy. Is in huge doses, it's too much. It's unbearable. Like it's not even fun anymore. But when you mix it with something that mellows it out, like Holly, who plays often well, and it becomes very funny, then Michael Scott is very enjoyable. So yeah, Michael is at his best when paired with Holly.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback off of that later, because I'm sure somebody's gonna pick an episode that I very much don't like. So when we get to that, I'll bring your subject, your analogy back up, because I'm sure it's gonna be talked about. I'm positive. All right, so for number 3s we had The Convict, Niagara Falls, The Convict, and Company Picnic. All right. Oh shit! I forgot to do the fucking sound effect, dude.
I'll tell you this, Neri. I think I know what episode you're talking about, and it is not on my mountain or honorable mention.
Oh, I know.
I'm thinking of the right one.
I'm not talking about you, BFF. All right.
Round 2.
Dose, the sequel to Uno.
All right, David, what do we got for number 2, brother?
My number 2. I almost just read The Convict, but I forgot I flip-flopped them. My number 2 is season 7, episode 17, Threat Level Midnight.
That's honorable mention for me. That just got bumped off my mountain.
Oh, did it? Okay.
For Benihana Christmas.
That is an episode that it's so goofy. But to me, the best thing about that episode is you really do see how much everyone loves and appreciates Michael. Like I said, Michael's a character that I pity, because there's a couple episodes where you really do see him in a different light, and you get to understand why he is the way that he is, and that ultimately he really does care. It's easy for us to look at Michael and write him off as a dirtbag, but when you get to know someone that way, you start to make allowances and exceptions for them because they endear themselves to you. And so the fact that this entire office filmed this movie for him should let you know right away, hey, there's they didn't need to do this. They did this for him.
Well,
right? They know that.
Well, I will say that while I do agree that the Office members of the Office ultimately did love him, which you can tell from other episodes, from this episode, what I didn't get that, because they filmed this and they said he gave him days off or whatever. Like, he offered them like things to do the episode, and Jim literally did it just to spend more time with Pam. because they were dating. They weren't even dating at the time. She was still the receptionist, and he's still like pining over her, so he got to spend more time with the receptionist. So I agree with you in the sense that they do love this guy, and I do agree that even though he's an asshole, they love him. I always give the example of from the movie Hot Tub Time Machine, which is a movie about a hot tub that becomes a time machine. It's a weird premise. I know it's confusing from the title. You can't really tell what it's about, but there's a line in there where the hospital goes, are you his friend or family? And he goes, he's an asshole, but he's our asshole. And that's how I see Michael Scott. He's a fucking prick, but he's our prick. Like, we love him in spite of all his flaws and glaring flaws. But yeah. So
I would disagree that they initially filmed it because they loved him. Because they even said that they were laughing because they thought it was supposed to be a joke originally, and that he never finished showing. He showed them like rough edits, and they were cracking up because they were like, "This is the stupidest thing we've ever seen."
No. They don't say anything about it being stupid. There, I disagree with you.
They thought it was a comedy.
They thought it was a comedy. They thought it was silly. I mean, they didn't have to say the word stupid.
They thought it was silly.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
I agree.
The same. Okay. But when he finally finished it and they sat there, they purposefully, at that point, were like, nobody laughed. This is his thing. We want to, when Threat Level Midnight, you're at season 7 already. So at that point, they're like, you know what? Don't laugh because he wants it. And then you see Michael realize, you know what? This is stupid. Why am I taking offense when this is actually, like, he has a self-realization in that episode.
Things about that.
I don't know about that self. So? I don't think it's a self-realization. Harley has to point it out to him. Well, that's not really called a self-realization. That's called the woman of your dreams pointing it out to you and you agreeing with that.
It's a realization of self. How is that not self-realization?
Because it has to be pointed out by a third party.
Who the fuck cares? It's a realization.
Second party. You're right, Daniel. Second party. I don't know. It's kind of weird to be like, I realized it myself. No, bitch, you had to point it out to you. Like, oh, okay. I mean, that's the way I see self-realizations. I thought would have to be by myself, but all right. I guess not.
It's a realization of who he is and what he accomplishes. To him, he realizes that it's not so much about this movie and the thing that he's been trying to create, and that, that it's supposed to be this awesome thing. It was more about the awesome times that people had.
I think it was more that he wanted to be more than just a office worker. He wanted to be more than just a manager. He wanted to be an actor in Hollywood, and he thought he still had aspirations in some weird way in his head. He still thought that was a possibility, and Harley had to point out the fact that, like, you're not an actor, you're not a Hollywood guy, you're not gonna make movies. Like, who cares? There's nothing wrong with just this being what it is a fun project. And he had to realize, like, she had to point that out to him for him to go like, oh, I guess you're right. Like, she still loved him. So, like, you're not a Hollywood star and I still love you and you still got me, you dummy.
Yeah, there's that great moment in that episode where he and Holly have that fight. And so he says he's going to keep screening it for the rest of the office. And then he says he's going to get up and leave, right? And you see Holly watching it from outside of the office.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or
the conference room, yeah.
Now, remember, this is in more. So to go back into the fact where these guys, I think when they first did it, it was a different intention. Remember, this is a callback to, I think it's in season 1 or 2 where Jim finds the script.
So
right,
yeah.
They do a table read for the ridiculousness of it. And they're like, this is the most absurd thing I've ever heard. So they all knew about this thing at that time. And I'm sure they were like, yes, I want to be a part of this and this absurdity and this ridiculousness. I do think eventually they saw it from a point of love and as a reminder of the past and a reminder of where they came from.
Right.
Because they were all proud of seeing themselves. Like, you see when each character's on the screen, like, they do a close up of their face, and you see the how proud they are at now after reading that script in the first season and laughing at how ridiculous it is, to being proud of being in this with their family.
Yeah. I did this because I wanted my daughter to see the first black president. What a waste of time that was.
It's like, and all of that argument and discussion aside, I mean, the piece that makes this so good is actually, threat level midnight. Just like the one-liners and the quirky, like Steven Seagal, James Bond bullshitty ripoffs and stuff like that. Goddamn, when Jim is Goldface is like, and then I'm going to dig up your dead wife and I'm a humper real good.
Yeah. And then it shows Jim. He's like, I was not a fan of that line.
And like the fact that Michael's love interest at the time, like, is always, so you got Jan on the piano, then you got Pam's mom with her tits like all in the camera when he comes back after getting shot. Like,
my favorite shot in that movie was when they're doing the speed skating race, and him and Goldface are just shooting at each other from like a foot away, and he's like, but then he actually goes, I wasn't trying to kill you, I was just slowing you down. And then you see Oscar in the speed suit, like in the middle.
I doubt there's anybody who would listen to an episode about The Office that doesn't know this, but if you are unaware, the entire 22-minute episode that is just Threat Level Midnight is available on YouTube.
Yep.
And it's not only the scenes from that episode, but it's everything in between those scenes, and it's a fantastic watch.
I love at the end, Mr. President. But wait, isn't the president the bad guy? Yeah, I messed that up. Like,
he just gives up
he's
on
like,
it.
He's like, whatever, it's stupid.
I think my favorite part of Threat Level Midnight is actually the exploding head.
Oh, that's probably the most expensive effect.
Yeah,
in the movie.
It's not like a double cut. It's like a quintuple cut. and
over and over and over.
And then everyone's like, and then you hear Michael Scarn say, that's okay. He was a renowned animal rapist.
Renowned. Far and away the most expensive shot in the movie. Worth it.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Totally worth it.
That's a great pick, bro.
All right. So what do we got, DeBono? What do we got for number 2, bro?
For my number 2, here's my other pick that I love this episode, and I am fully prepared to catch shit for putting this one on my list, but I just fucking love this episode undyingly. Season 4, episode 13, The Dinner Party.
That's the one that we were talking about.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
I love Dinner Party. It's up there with cringiest episodes. Without stepping on anybody's toes, I won't say what I think is the cringiest, but it's cringy, but also it's just horribly funny. Like the plasma screen TV gag where he like pushes it into the wall, and the whole thing where we really start to get even more of the inner workings of how insane Jan is. Like, she's obsessed with the fact that she thinks Pam and Michael used to date. She's trying to get them to invest in her candle company, Serenity by Jan. The whole story with him trying to run through the glass door to get to the ice cream man. Like, it's uncomfortable to watch, but I'm like laughs per capita in that episode. My Jim refusing to guess the right things in charades, like when Michael's acting them out. Like, it's so ridiculous from beginning to end. Dwight showing up with the old lady that used to be his babysitter and like the world's biggest wine glass that he fills all the way up. I know it's one that a lot of people don't like. And honestly, when we started this, I was like, I'm putting Dinner Party at number 4. Fuck those guys. And then I just kept working on stuff, and I was like, oh my God, I genuinely love Dinner Party. I think it's really funny. You get that really like weirdly touching moment at the end where Michael's got his head out of Dwight's Trans Am as they're driving away.
With Hunter's song playing in the background?
Yeah, with Hunter's song playing, and then Andy takes the lick off Angela's ice cream, so she just takes it and smashes it on the side of his car. Like,
she was pregnant then, too.
Oh, yeah.
The actress.
The actress?
Yeah.
The actress, yeah. But it's just, like I said, just purely in how much I laugh in an episode, this is very much towards the top. And I was going to say something to the last one before it got tabled, but like I said, this episode is very much a product of what's going on right now, and not this list, not this episode. I'm not fighting with my wife. But just all of my episodes revolve around gatherings, because losing my mind being cooped up right now. And so watching these episodes where people are getting together and I guess you could say having fun with this one, maybe not so much. But it's just, I love this. I undyingly love this episode. I think it's hilarious. Everything with Hunter, all the stuff with Jan taking forever to cook. Like what my favorite though, when she's like in Rome, people often won't eat dinner until, or no, she goes,
in Spain.
In Madrid.
Spain, people often won't eat dinner until midnight. And Michael, when in Rome, like he thought he was being so damn smart in that moment. It's just, I like I said, I'm sure that there are, I know for a fact that Neri said it's not even a top 20 episode on Facebook today, but
here's the thing. I know I'm in a minority in this one. Like, I think it's the other way around. When you said that you know that people, I know that I'm in a minority in this one because everybody has this on their list.
Everybody puts dinner party
in the list. So I know I'm in the minority, but like going back to what you said about bourbon and about how, Michael Scott is intolerable. And then you need Holly as to make him likable. I don't. This is like to keep with that analogy. This is the essence of doing a keg stand with fucking bourbon. You know what I mean? It's so fucking unbearable for me. I don't like the episodes of The Office where they're awkward. I don't like awkward moments. I fucking feel very awkward. And again, that's the whole point of it. I know I get it. That's what they were going for. But I don't like feeling that. Same reason I don't watch horror movies. I don't like feeling scared. Like I don't like that fucking feeling. I'm very I'm that dude that watches shows and I start feeling for the fucking characters for no reason. Like if I always give this example, but watching King of Queens and they're always on a tight budget. The couple's portrayed as a couple living paycheck to paycheck. One episode where he buys a new car and he's like, "Don't worry about it, we're good." And then the next day the company goes on strike, so he doesn't have a fucking paycheck coming in. That always gives me cringe. It's like, no, you fucking don't have money. These are fucking TV characters that don't really exist. And I'm like, what the fuck are you gonna do now? You don't have a paycheck coming in. So I start getting that fucking anxiety over that. And the same thing with this, like the dinner party. Again, everybody loves it. I'm in a minority. I get it. But I fucking hate feeling awkward. And I don't feel another episode comes close to making me feel as awkward as fucking dinner party, dude.
Are you serious? You don't? Scott's Tots doesn't make you feel more awkward than dinner party?
It doesn't make me feel more awkward. It makes me feel the same level of awkward. It doesn't fucking. But it's just very awkward. Where I'm just like, I don't.
Yeah, like dinner party was one of those ones that I used to love it, and I rewatched it yesterday, and I was like, man, like, and I will agree with you. There are funny points, like the plasma bit.
So good.
And if you watch if the plasma bit's great, and if you watch the
gag reel of that not being able to get through that, yeah,
it's fucking fantastic. Like it has its like the Hunter thing. Like my favorite shot of that entire episode is that last shot with just Hunter's music playing, Jim and Pam eating the burger, like and like
I did a bad thing, babe.
Yeah, like just that thing. But it's such to me it got so uncomfortable, like what Neri said, and it got so it to me it no longer was the Office. It was me watching like an episode of like I've never seen it, but like This Is Us, where I'm assuming that everybody's depressed and sad at the fact that you're watching an abusive relationship. Like you're actually getting the abuse. You're getting to see it firsthand.
I absolutely get that aspect of it, but at the same time, it was an episode that I don't know. Maybe I connect to it a lot in this aspect. It was an episode that humanized Michael in a way that I found very relatable towards this. I'm not trying to make this super deep, but like I had a girlfriend when I was in college that I really did not like at all, but like was terrified of like not having a girlfriend, right? Like it was like this weird thing. All my friends had girlfriends and I was really afraid not to. So even though I didn't like her, we argued about everything. We had nothing in common. Like I still wouldn't do anything about it. And
right. Was she a lesbian? Was she a lesbian?
No, she was
because you're literally describing my former relationship, but she ended up being a lesbian. But that's the only. Just making sure.
In the humanizing Michael though, but there's another episode that I think it has to be before that. I think it is the Women's Appreciation, where that's the episode where he takes all the girls out to the mall.
Yeah, because that's when he breaks up with Jan the first time.
Right, and he's literally sitting there talking to them like a battered housewife. Like telling them all these horrible things.
Right, but witnessing it. witness. And
Witnessing
like I
it
said,
is where it's like that.
Yeah,
that,
and
the
so
nail that the screw going into it.
And so, like I said, it's not the funniest. It's definitely not the funniest one. Not even on my list. I think it's hilarious, but I love it.
I think the episode is funny. It's so hard to like. I'm like, like I'm laughing. Even like I'm like that's how I'm laughing. I think it is funny. And if you watch a lot of the actors' favorite in that episode, a lot of those actors, Jan, the actress who plays Jan, I'm awful with names. I don't know her real name, but she loves that episode. And what I found impressive is that she says that one of the things that she's proudest of is every time they did the take where she threw the Dundee at the flat screen, she hit it every single time. They didn't need to do a cut. Like she was like and then she says that the whole crew was like, oh, because they thought that we're gonna have to do like a cut and then like somebody else throw it and do a whole thing. And the fact that she nailed it every single time, she goes, that's one of the things I still think about to this day. I still remember me fucking being able to beam that small little screen every single time. And again, it's not like it's funny. It just makes me feel awkward, and it's supposed to. That's the whole point. It's supposed to make you feel cringy and awkward.
And like, not that it's a bad episode. I'm not going to knock you for the pick. I just it changed for me from when I first saw it to now.
Can I say?
And I feel the other way around. Like I used to just when this episode would come on, and maybe it's because I couldn't look at it and laugh at being that guy to an extent. That so now with time, and it's like this episode has mellowed on me, and I can really enjoy it.
It's been the opposite. I used to find this episode ridiculously funny. In fact, it was my number one until today.
When you rewatched it today?
Yeah, I rewatched it for the first time in many, many years, and I laughed, I think, 2 or 3 times in the whole episode.
I think it's a funny episode. It's just, it's all, you know what I don't like? Here,
there weren't subtitles.
The time that I laughed hardest was at the very end when Jim steals the CD. I thought that was like the funniest thing in the whole episode. Everything else I found just so incredibly sad that I couldn't find it funny.
So can I just give here's what I don't understand about this episode. Was clearly made to make Jan the villain, right? To establish that Jan is bad, right? Like this is clear as like this is like to drive home the point that Jan is evil in whatever way. Here's the part that bothers me about that. And when they first meet, it's Michael Scott who has who's not good enough for Jan, and then somehow they had to make her super crazy because they had to make him likable. So she was a sacrificial lamb. Fine, you're gonna do that as a writing staff, fine, okay, that's what you decided to go with, okay. But here's what I don't like about this episode is she's fucking gluing back the fucking Dundee. And they show that's a redeeming quality. That's like her being that's her way of apologizing. That's her and she's gluing back that dumb trophy that he got for 99 cents at the trophy store, and she's like fucking gluing it back. And I'm like, why would you go through all the hassle of making her the supervillain and then at the end of the episode give her such a redeeming fucking shot? Like I don't understand why you don't need that.
While I agree that it is redeeming, it also just fully encompasses how insane she is about it all, right? Like she's, now that he's gone, like it shows, she's so crazy about just the whole thing. He's not there, and now she misses him and actually feels bad. And I mean, they do break up after that episode, and then you see her again a couple more times here and there. But I don't know. I guess I never thought of it that way. I never thought of it as a bad thing that they allow her to redeem herself that little tiny bit of it.
I honestly don't think it's her looking for redemption. Looking back on it now, after having seen the episode today, I think that it's more she was afraid of being alone. She had lost everything.
Yeah.
The only thing she had left was Michael, whom she hated. So the fact that she had now nothing, the only thing that she could hope for is to keep Michael.
But to end talking about this episode on a great note, absolute minuscule sight gag that is 100% wonderful. So they go into the bedroom, the camera's there, right? That's the big sight gag. But the very tiny sight gag is when she's like, I thought I told you to put that away. As he picks up the tripod to the camera, he looks right at the camera and just kind of like nods a little bit like, yeah, I wanted y'all to know that set up in there. Like, it's just this great little moment with Michael that gets me every time.
And that's a callback to women's appreciation too, because he mentions that she likes to film.
So they can review and
they can review it later, and she can give him.
She has notes. Yeah, she has notes. All right, so we got dinner party. All right, Jeff, what do you got for your number 2?
Well, now we can talk about Stress Release Part 1 and 2, Season 5, Episode 14 and 15.
Season 5.
We can't table.
Continue to keep it tabled.
Oh man! All right.
Stress Relief.
Good talk.
All right, so for number 2s, we had Threat Level Midnight. Oh, I got to give my number 2.
You haven't done yours yet.
Oh, my fault. My number 2 is Season 6, Episode 5, Niagara Falls. It's Episode 4 and 5, Niagara Falls.
Hell yeah.
That's my number 2. Season... I'm sorry. I'm fucking trying to write down seasons. This is so weird to do this. Go ahead.
It was my number 3, and so it got tabled now. So I'm very happy that we're gonna get to talk.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. If we ever do, I've been trying to do an episode about a Geekmore episode about favorite TV weddings. Spoiler alert. This is gonna make my mouth. One of my favorite all-time TV weddings. It's not your typical TV wedding. It's not your typical TV wedding episode. There's so many things. Jim and Pam are by far my favorite thing about this show, which I love so dearly. But this episode is so fantastic. The way it's split up from episode 4, where everybody's getting to Niagara Falls and everybody's like, she doesn't want anybody there from the office, but Michael has given people who go to the office the day off. So everybody's going to take the day off. So everybody ended up going. The fact that we had Kevin with his sweaty feet. First of all, they got rid of the shoes. The hotel got rid of the shoes.
They burned the shoes. Yeah. They incinerated his damn shoes.
And they weren't even apologetic. They didn't even apologize.
The dude didn't give a fuck about burning his shoes.
That's so fucking good. Because normally they'd be like, and in real life, you'd be like, okay, well, you owe me a pair of shoes, so give me some money to go buy a pair of shoes. But they were like, Kevin, Nope. They were like, no, it was so disgusting. We had to burn those shoes.
Oh God, so many. Like in the first part, like I said, like to look at it as 2 parts. That first part, and just so many funny things that happen. But Jim giving away that Pam is pregnant during his rehearsal dinner speech. And he's talking to Michael afterwards. He's like, what is it about this job that makes you stay stupid shit or whatever, like, it's just, he can't like wrap his head around the fact that he was the one who screwed it up. Like, he was so worried about Kevin or Michael screwing it up that he can't even begin to fathom that he's the one who messed up.
Can we just talk about how great that toast was, though? Can we talk about how great that it was? Heartwarming until the fucking end when he fucked it up. How great that's a great. I love the fact that The Office could do that. They could talk about
because then to in essence recover, but not recover because the punchline of that was here's to waiting. And like he revealed that she was pregnant. Like that was such a masterpiece of a joke to write that toast, to put that in there, and then have the actual toast be here's to waiting. Like that is absolutely one of the pinnacles of genius writing in this show.
And then you have the actual wedding and the fact that they had their own personal wedding at Niagara. They went and did the tour at Niagara Falls, and that he had that planned, and the fact that he cut off his tie.
Plan C.
Oh yeah, Plan C, and then he cuts off his tie. The mental pictures, all of that, so emotional and so like that's fucking heartwarming to me. And he says that was actually Plan C. Plan A was to marry her the moment I saw her, the moment I met her, and I was like,
yeah.
Oh my God, you son of a bitch.
It's just like it's a great when you put the two together because the first one is all gags and stuff happening, and then you're right, he cuts the tie to match the veil, and he had the Maid of the Mist tickets and everything like that. It's just when it comes to sitcoms, as a general rule, heartwarming episodes aren't necessarily my favorite. But this one gets to me because it really encompasses everything that the Pam and Jim relationship was and would go on to be, like how much they were both willing to do for the other one. The fact that when it's all said and done, they know that the actual wedding is probably going to be a disaster. They play that Chris Brown song.
So great.
That was on the Do Not playlist. And Andy's like dancing with the walker because he tore his scrotum and everything. Like, even when it is like those really sweet moments, when Erin offers Andy like her scarf. She's like, I thought it might help because of your torn scrotum. Like, it's just there's a bunch. This is for a 2-part episode. It's an amazing blend of really funny and really heartfelt stuff. This episode really flexes on how strong this entire cast is and how strong their writing staff is.
Yeah. Yeah, everything about, and I love the fact that they throw in to not make it cliche. The wedding is not the season finale; it's episodes 4 and 5 in the season. Like it's not the season finale. It feels like every other sitcom has the wedding at whatever wedding it is as the season finale, and
that's the big finale. Yeah,
and The Office is such a great ensemble that they're able to say, fuck that, 2 of our biggest members won't be here for the next 2 or 3 episodes or however long, and it's fine. We could fucking hold it. It's going to be great no matter what. And I fucking love that, man. But I love that.
Plus, this episode gave us who is probably Dwight's actual soulmate in Isabel.
Right? What a smoke show.
Oh my God, I know. Like, whoa, like outside of the fact that she and Dwight actually had everything in common, I'm like, God damn.
Yeah, what a fucking smoke show, yeah.
Oh, just so fine. And her and Dwight deciding he's too good for her, right? Like she's he's like she's a dental hygienist from somewhere, and she makes love like one. She's a bumpkin, right? Like it's just, and like that, and then of course Michael hooking up with Pam's mom, which just leads to a whole bevy of great one-liners and storylines in later episodes. Their seats go all the way down.
All the way down.
But
what kind of car does he drive? A green Ford. Fuck. Like fuck.
Yeah. But just let's not say anything.
Right. Just so many great things.
Oh,
culminated in
Toby
this
walking by.
Also,
Not now, Toby. Like it's just so. So
when,
good.
When Dwight is like, "Oh no, this confirmation's wrong. They don't actually have my room. Can I stay with you?" And Michael's like, "No." He's like, "I knew you wouldn't let me. That was a test." Like little shit like that. It's a great. It encompasses so many things about the show that are just really, really great, and it's a lot of fun to watch. Like I said, it gets me, man. Like them standing there on the bow of the ship at the very end, like, and you're getting it's like a simulcast of their actual wedding on the ship with the shenanigans going on at their wedding ceremony, and just how happy they are standing there on the ship knowing that they just got married and it was their moment. Like I said, it's rare that a sitcom really gets to me like that, but that moment got me.
Yeah, man. Fucking love it. That's my number 2. All right, so number 2s are Threat Level Midnight, Dinner Party, Stress Relief, and Niagara Falls. All right, so what do we got for honorable mentions?
I took photos of all of your page, everybody's pages. So,
all right.
Robert C. Leatherwood has from 4 to 1 The Dundies, Traveling Salesman, Gay Witch Hunt, and Benihana Christmas.
Oh, Gay Witch Hunt is so fucking good, dude.
That's a great one.
That's so good.
Damn, the look on his face when he kisses Oscar. Like the look on both their faces. Like
what else? What else?
Carlos Navarrete, his wife Sandy's list is 4 to 1, Goodbye Michael, Diversity Day, Threat Level Midnight, and The Dundies. Honorable mention to Business School. Business School. That's so great.
When he throws out the candy, throws out the candy, you may get $100 grand.
Whatchamacallit.
By the way,
with the music, with the boombox, that it's for like the opening.
And he's playing
like
Pomp and Circumstance. I live for the moment on every episode where you pronounce Carlos's last name. I just need y'all to know that. It gives me chills every time, and it's just the dude's name, but I fucking love listening to you pronounce it. That's so white. That's so white of me to say, but I fucking your name just sounds right when y'all say it. I love it.
Because it is.
And then we've got Messia Silva. Missy. 4-1 Niagara Falls, or 3 email surveillance, 2 stress relief, 1 dinner party. Honorable mentions: The Return. I guess Niagara Part 2 because she wrote Niagara again. Classy Christmas and viewing party. Carlos Navarrete now his own. Threat Level Midnight, Scott's Tots, The Dundies, and Niagara. Honorable mentions to Safety Training, Dinner Party, and Booze Cruise. Booze Cruise is another great one.
Safety training. Patrice O'Neill in safety training. Oh my God!
What is that thing? What is that thing? When do you get to touch it? In only the No, never. You never touch it.
Oh goddamn! R.I.P. It's Patrice O'Neill. I know that there probably wasn't a place for him, but damn, I wish he could have been a bigger part of that show.
No, he wasn't a bigger part of that show because he didn't want to be a bigger part of that show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a podcast episode with Patrice O'Neill on Jay Moore's podcast, and that was the last podcast he did before he passed. And he talked about it because he was like, yeah, I did. He goes, I just didn't want to sit. You know why he didn't want to do the office anymore? He goes, I just didn't want to sit there for 10 hours a day looking at BJ Novak's face. Like, that was his fucking, that was his excuse. And then Jay Moore was like, did he do something wrong to you? He goes, no, I just didn't want to fucking sit there and be looking at fucking, like, he didn't fit into the corporate mode. And that's a TV show's having to work with other people and being corporate and not being able to say everything that pops into your head. And he was like, I don't want to do that for, that.
Bet you wish you could spend some time with this sea monster.
Daniel Romero has Goodbye Michael, Dinner Party, Niagara Falls, and Stress Relief. Lou Galindo has Niagara 1 and 2, Stress Relief, Threat Level Midnight, and Dinner Party, So Much Cringe. Andrea Beto has Stress Relief, and okay, so then she actually made a list. Michael's Last Dundies, Dinner Party, The Injury, and Stress Relief. Nilo has Scott's Tots, You Asked Him for More. He liked it and never did anything else. Brielle Buckler has 100% the Dinner Party episode is the best in the series. You again asked for more. None were given. Dan Garcia, my buddy, has The Fire. Niagara, can it count as one? Yes. Scott's Tots, Michael Scott Paper Company. And then he still goes through the cold openings, but that's a whole different episode. And then Mark Hawkins simply wrote, I declare bankruptcy!
Such a fucking good line. Such a good line.
Yeah. And then I love that, Oscar. You can't just say it. No, I didn't say it. I declared it. That's not how it works. But that's everybody's honorable mentions on Nearies and Geekmore.
All right. David, honorable mentions.
My honorable mentions are the Dundies, Diversity Day, and Product Recall. I really like Product Recall.
Was that the one with the watermark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Diversity Day, I can't, I don't know, man. Like, I know a lot of people love Diversity Day. And I don't know. Like, I can't get behind that episode. Like, it just,
you don't like diversity?
It's painful to watch. Everybo's like, no, it's yeah, that's it.
Give me a stereotype so I can get it easier.
Sorry, that's the Alabama coming through.
Yeah.
No, it's just like, it's so early. What's that? That's season 1, episode 2, right?
Yeah.
It's everybody's still so stiff, and like nobody knows who or what their character's supposed to be. And I know people love that episode, but when I go back and rewatch, I make it a habit of not even starting my rewatch until basketball.
Oh, the basketball games.
Yeah, like because it's just Diversity Day and some stuff like that. It's just, I don't know.
It made me think of basketball with Stanley when he starts dribbling. Goes, oh, come on!
you know, at the end of that, when Kevin is sinking shots, they just kept filming because he just kept going and he hit like 14 or 15 in a row.
Really?
Yeah. Like there's a DVD extra where when I first started watching the show, it was back when you actually had to get DVDs through Netflix.
Me too, yeah.
And there was an extra where it was him just sinking those shots, and he hit like it was something like 14, 15, maybe even 16 in a row, where they just kept passing him the ball and just kept filming because he wouldn't miss.
That's awesome.
David, what were you gonna say?
No, I think that Diversity Day is the only one in season 1 that is actually like a standout episode.
All right.
Your mic did that thing where it popped again.
Oh, that's weird.
You can call me Mr. Brown. Haha, that's a test. I'm not going to fall for that one. No, that's my actual name. Sure it is.
She comes back from her meeting, and Michael gets all up in her face. He goes, "Try my googie googie." And then she slaps him. He goes,
I wrote
it. Yes, she gets it.
I wrote down the quote from that episode because I love it that when he's talking and he goes, like Abraham Lincoln said, "If you are racist, I will attack you with the North." Like Abraham Lincoln.
There's a if you listen to the Office Ladies podcast, they talking about this episode, there's a great line that they had originally written. The way it ends up being in the show is that diversity today, diversity tomorrow, whatever it's called.
Yeah. Oh yeah, when he's doing the video.
Yeah. The original line was that they said diversity 360 because I don't believe diversity should take 5 days off. That was the original line, and they couldn't do it because there was an actual company called Diversity 360, and they couldn't do it because they didn't want to fall into lawsuits where they would think that they were making fun of an actual company. But that's I just thought that fucking line was brilliant. Yeah, man, that's a good one. DeBono, what do you got for your honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions. I've got Money, which is the I Declare Bankruptcy two-parter. It's just very funny episode. A lot of good one-liners. Great story told throughout the whole thing. Michael with the night job is just beautiful. The injury, the foot on
the grill.
The foot on the foreman is funny. Concussion Dwight is where this episode shines.
And with Pam.
Concussion Dwight and Pam, and like that's where their friendship really starts. It's just a great one. Casual Friday makes my honorable mentions solely for the reason that the cold open to Casual Friday is Kevin's Chili. Oh, God damn it. And I know you just kind of said we might do that another time, but if I were to finish right now and just go watch Kevin Chili, I would still laugh till I was in tears, even just admitting I would. It's just, there's just something so horribly tragic about that, but the rest of the episode's only okay.
I love the fact Friday. I love Casual Fridays for Meredith's dress being too short and both directions. It's like, hey, we could see one of your boob, your breast, and then she pulls it all the way up, and you can see her vagina, and they're like, oh my God, that's crazy.
Why aren't you wearing any panties?
It's Casual Friday,
right? And then the one that I really wanted to make my mountain, but as a whole episode, it's not one of the best. It's just single-handedly possibly the best moment in the show, and that's Michael's last undies.
Is that Farewell Michael? Or no, that's another episode.
No, Farewell Michael is actually the second one, the one where he's saying goodbye to everybody before he actually leaves.
Okay, all right.
So that's the thing. Like, if you could make Farewell Michael and Michael's Last Undies one episode, but they have different names, so I didn't try to do that. But Michael's Last Undies is a funny episode. It has its moments. It's good. But when they stand up and they start singing to him at the end, it's just incredible. And in case there is anybody listening who does not know this, Steve Carell did not know that scene was coming.
Oh, shit.
Steve Carell
I didn't know that.
Steve Carell was completely ignorant to the fact that they had rehearsed this song and that they were going to sing it to him. They had been rehearsing in secret without Steve Carell knowing. So when they stand up and start singing and he gets real misty-eyed and he's like, oh, my God, something's happening, that's a genuine reaction from Steve Carell.
Fuck, that's so good, dude.
So then when he sits in the confessional afterwards, he goes, yeah, this is going to hurt like a motherfucker. That wasn't Michael Scott. That was Steve Carell, like, just admitting that it finally just hit him how hard it was going to be to walk away from the show. And knowing that exact moment is so much more powerful. But like I said, the episode as a whole can't make it, but that moment alone is the greatest thing that I think The Office ever did. Especially when you learn, like I said, that what you see in Steve Carell's face is genuine shock, genuine surprise, and he had no idea they were about to sing.
I did not know that. You're teaching me something right now about it. I didn't. Now it makes me. You're absolutely right. Just learning that 30 seconds ago makes me want to fucking watch the episode like that. It makes me appreciate it.
Go back and watch it, and you hear his voice like you hear like a quiver in his voice when he's like, oh my God, something's happening. That's not just great acting. That's him genuinely responding to these people that have been his family, for so long, acknowledging how great it's been when he's there, and it's incredible.
That's fantastic, man. That's fucking really great. And for those of you who don't know, who uncultured swine, is that what the phrase is?
You ignorant slut.
No, not that. Uncultured swine is a Toy Story thing. For those of you who don't know, that song that they do is a play off of the Broadway musical Lease, where everybody dies of AIDS. So.
I've got AIDS. She's got AIDS. We've all got AIDS.
Jeff, what do you got for your honorable mentions?
All right. So for the sake of not duplicating, I'm going to go with my other one. So Fun Run, season 4, episode 1.
Got a carb load.
I got a carb load.
I've never eaten so much Alfredo or drank so little water.
Then I've got Survivor Man from season 4, episode 7, where Michael goes out and does the Bear Grylls thing with the video camera. And he's like, he cuts his pants to make a hat, and then it gets cold, so he duct tapes them back together. And then,
the best part of that episode is when he says that's what she says, and Jim was like, "What does that mean?" He's like, "I don't know."
At the end, he's just like, I just say it. I don't even know what it means.
Yeah.
Like, he admits it. He's just like, I don't know what it means. It's just whatever. And then Jim's got the whole thing with the cake because he wants to celebrate everybody's birthday once.
Yeah.
Then I've got Frame Toby from season 5, episode 9. That's when Toby comes back, and that Michael didn't know for weeks that he had been back
for over a week. Yeah.
Caprese salad in my desk.
Yeah. So it's like, this is a caprese salad. Look, there's mozzarella. He spent $500 from the guy from Vance Refrigeration that he thought it was weed. But that gives you that it's a gif of Michael Scott screaming no, like at the top of his lungs when Toby walks in, like, no, please. And then he starts like trying to entice him to fight him. He's like, oh look.
And then Ryan and Kelly like egging him on.
Yeah.
That was your chance, man. That was your chance, man.
Do it, Toby. I'd have
hit him.
Yeah.
And then Toby doing this shit, like mime, like fucking, like pretending he's gonna swing, like practice swinging, like I fucking.
He's so used to strangling people since he's a strangler.
Exactly.
And then my last one I'm putting on is Goodbye Toby from season 4, episode 14, solely because it has my favorite setup of a joke that runs for 2 episodes, in which Dwight convinces Holly that Kevin is mentally retarded.
Oh my God, so fucking good.
And the entire
so
2
good,
episodes, she's just like, and I'm sorry, mentally handicapped, so I don't want people to get offended, but like that.
That's the word they use in the show.
So yeah, and then you just see, she's like, oh, how are you? And he's like, do you want some M&Ms? She's like, no, I'm good. I keep them in this jar so nobody gets them. She's like, that's really smart. And like,
you drive your own car?
Yeah, that's my fucking favorite. You drive your own car? That's my favorite, dude.
I do too.
You know what? Honestly,
and then he's gonna screw her.
There's so when he stands up to actually sing Goodbye Toby, and he turns to Craig Robinson, and he's like, do y'all know Goodbye Stranger, Supertramp? Like, that's just the song that bands know. And he's like, yep. They just all immediately start playing Goodbye Stranger. It's like, all right.
But that episode's just, I mean, and that's the whole with Jim paying for the fireworks and Andy Thunder and all. But it's just that setup of that joke that runs for that episode and episode 15.
I considered that one for the exact same reason. I was like, God, I should put Goodbye Toby on here because it sets up a payoff in the next season. Like,
wait, did you think I was retarded?
So fucking good. So
you don't talk to him like that. He is mentally handicapped.
So good.
Yeah, those are my honorable mentions. There's the other ones were already named. So
all right, so my honorable mentions, I have any of these could have made my list easily. I have season 3, episode 18, The Negotiation, where Michael goes in a woman's suit.
I am refusing to talk first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, he's wearing a woman's suit, and he's like, no, I got it in a bargain bin because they have the buns on the wrong side.
And it's like, slide it over to me on a paper. Why? That's how they do it in the movies.
Fucking
Yo,
good.
look, as a punk kid that does a lot of thrift store shopping, the very first time I saw that episode, I immediately noticed it. I was like, oh man, his buttons are on the wrong side. And my ex-wife was like, how did you notice that? I was like, half the hoodies I own have the zippers on the wrong side because I shop in the women's section at the thrift store.
That's hilarious. Yeah, dude, and then the fact that Craig Robinson is teaching him quote unquote black sayings that are not fucking real.
God.
Oh, it's so fucking good, dude.
Oh my God,
it's so fucking good.
Zippity zoppity, give me the sloppity.
And then I love the fact that he looks at the camera and he's like, I know I shouldn't, but I just can't help myself. He's so fucking. He's trying to help. Like he's trying to help himself out by helping out Michael. So now is not the time to fucking teach him more black sayings, but he fucking does. He can't stop.
I can't help myself.
Yeah, it's so fucking good, dude. So the negotiation, Gossip is one of my all-time favorites. Season 6, episode 1, where he finds out that Stanley's having an affair, and then it goes through the whole thing of
He's playing Hangman with Kevin.
Yeah. So,
man, that's a great episode.
It's so good. And he's like, he put something in the Hangman's hands. He's like, all right, let's have him holding. Like, he just needs to add more shit. So good. And yeah, he gets mad at them for not telling them sooner. Like, who have you, how long have you known that you were pregnant? And he's like, yeah. And she goes, I'm sorry. We should have told you you are an equal part in this whole endeavor or whatever. It's so fucking good. Then we have Casino Night and Farewell Michael. Those are to round out my honorable mentions. So
cool.
They're Rocky Mountain oysters. They're bull testicles.
Yeah, Farewell Michael is what it's such. I don't know if anybody has it, so I'm not gonna talk about it too much. But it's so fun. I love that episode on so many levels. When he starts freaking out about whether or not it's the wrong thing to do, and he says, "My improv class credits, I don't know if they're gonna transfer." I just in the middle of a touching, heartwarming thing for him to drop that line is so fucking good,
But then it so beautifully recovers when as soon as he hears Holly's voice.
Yes,
everything's fine.
Yes, and he clicks,
right,
and it makes like he's all right. Like this is the right decision.
Like as soon as he hears Holly's voice and she cracks a joke, like everything's right in Michael's world again, and he remembers like that this is the right thing. Like that's the best moment in that episode. He's absolutely freaking out, and all it takes is hearing her voice, and he's back on track, and he knows.
And then the letter of recommendation that he gives to Dwight. And Dwight's really upset. Oh, fucking it. He's like quality in my. Oh, so fucking good. Man.
I'm not a crier. I'm not trying to be manly. I'm just not a crier. But damn it, when Dwight reads that letter, like every time I'm like, hey, there it is, right there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a crier. I fucking cry every time. I'm a crier. So yeah, those are my honorable mentions. All right.
Round 1.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back.
Do it! Do it! Come on! Come on!
All right, Dave, what do we got for number 1, brother?
Well, I've tabled it twice now. It's stress relief.
Oh, all right.
Which was also an honorable mention for me, so I crossed it out so I wouldn't.
Man, I had this as an honorable mention, and watching the 2 episodes today after I had seen Dinner Party, like, holy fuck, why have I always remembered Dinner Party as like the perfect Office episode when clearly for me this is the perfect Office episode.
Yeah.
I did not remember that all the various scenarios that happen throughout primarily the first part of the episode, which I think is better than the second half.
You mean the greatest cold opening in the entire show? Sorry,
yes.
Go on.
Oh my God. Yes, the best cold opening that the show has. You also have the roast of Michael, which is fucking amazing.
Wait, hold on. How do you guys not think that? You guys don't think that
we're gonna do if we're gonna do an episode on cold openings, we shouldn't be talking about this.
Okay. Well, we're not gonna do that anytime soon.
Right. Well, Asian Jim, go ahead, continue.
But that.
That's pretty good. That is pretty good.
So
that's pretty good. But a cat getting launched through a ceiling and then falling down completely on the other side. While Oscar's on top of there.
I love the fact that Oscar goes, they go, take the cat. And he's like, I can't. It weighs too, like, he can't, like, he's already fucking sitting there and he won't do it for weight capacity. It's hilarious.
I weigh too much.
Yeah, no, he tells Angela she weighs too much. She goes, I weigh 85 pounds.
And then he just goes, no. And he keeps moving. And then she just throws the cat through the hole.
Bandit.
You just see it fall like two tiles down. Like right down. Like I fucking pissed myself laughing.
That's a great, that's a phenomenal one.
Through. There was like a crew member up there that was supposed to catch the cat. And didn't. It was actually fell through on the other side. It's a giant fucking cat. It's super overweight. So it just fell right through the ceiling on the other side.
First of all, the fact that we learned that she has a cat in her fucking drawer in the office is already.
Cabinet.
I mean, that's so fucking hilarious right there in itself. That's hilarious. That's fucking fantastic.
And then like after they have the meeting, like Dwight's like, don't worry, I have a really great bomb threat scenario that's coming up.
The meeting in corporate is so fucking good.
Oh yeah. And it's like that they have two of them.
Yeah, they have two of them.
You just see the same shot of the same meeting. But this has the famous CPR dummy.
Yeah, that's the scene that makes it.
That's another thing. You have the fire, the CPR, and you have the roast all in the same episode.
Yeah.
Like in the part one of this episode.
But I like the CPR dummy. To me is by and large the best gag of the entire series. It's so fucking good. Everything from staying alive and they start tapping and they start dancing.
Staying alive and
they're all dancing. And then like Creed, there's a line from Creed in there that I just love. That she's like talking, and then he just out of nowhere just goes, "That's where I know you. You were in the parking lot."
And then he fucking turns around. He turns around and has the Silence of the Lambs mask. It's the fucking face thing. It's so fantastic.
There's no wallet. I already checked.
Yeah.
Creed's like, they don't have a wallet. I already checked.
And then when he has that meeting with David Wallace, he's like, "Why the ripping in the face?" And then he was like, "I didn't think it was believable in the movie. Turns out it was." Like it was just so And then he has that, and then the conversation with Michael is trying to defend Dwight while also being corporate, and he was like, "This is very serious." He goes, "Yeah, Dwight, it's very serious, but we're gonna go ahead and let it slide." He goes, "No, we're not." And he's like, "Well, I'm not a mind reader, David." He's not gonna.
Because at first he goes, "We're not mad, we're just disappointed." He goes, "No, we're mad."
That's what I was gonna say.
No, we're mad. He's like, "Well, I'm not a mind reader."
I think that we should remove Dwight as the specialist for this, and then take a portion of his salary and donate it to a charity of your choosing, one which he hates. And then Dwight,
Another scene that you didn't mention that kind of goes in line with what you were talking about with Meredith in the tiny top was when they're doing the meditation, the group meditation, and like Meredith sits down in front of Michael and he's like, sit down, close your knees. Nobody wants to see that. And you see her just like get up and like put her dress down.
Oh my! I love during the roast when Oscar just goes off, right?
Spanish.
So my 6 years of middle and high school Spanish that I haven't used for years, right? Like I'll watch that episode on a loop and I'm like sitting there taking notes. I'm like, yeah, okay, that was a dirty word. I know that one. Okay. I'm sure this is really funny. I'm going to get there, guys. Hang on. And hit repeat. It's like, okay.
And I love like Toby's going to get up and he's like, no, that's Toby. No.
And Toby was so looking forward to it. He was so looking forward to being able to do that.
He was like ready to fucking go. But what I love about that episode, besides all the funny, is that the fact that it was a catharsis for everybody. Yeah. Like they got to just let out everything that they've been bottling in. Michael didn't understand what the concept of the roast was apparently at first. But then he has that self-reflection and then comes back and does his own version of the roast.
Self-reflection without somebody pointing it out to him. That's weird.
There was self-reflection there.
Yeah, it's weird. Okay.
And it's like when he's throwing the loaves of bread and he's like, I guess the pigeons flew south for the winter.
No, they flew west for the winter.
Oh, they flew
west for the winter, yeah.
So fucking
I like to imagine a guy on an asteroid and he's looking down at everybody's problems, not just mine, but he sees me and he knows how sad I am.
Powerful telescope.
He's so good. This is the highest rated episode on IMDb, and it is the most watched episode of The Office on Netflix. So,
is it?
Yeah. As per WatchMojo.com. That's what I learned from Watch Mojo, is that this is both the most popular episode. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it was my number 2.
It was my number 4, so it's fantastic. It's great.
Honorable mention. So,
all right, DeBono, what do we got for number 1, dude?
So, my number 1 is the sentiment that's tied to this one. While it might not necessarily be the best episode, it is my favorite, and I know that's counter to kind of some of the things I've done, but it never fails to make me laugh. I feel like this was the very first episode where we got everybody together. It was one of the first redeeming Michael episodes. Season 2, episode 1, The Dundies.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a great episode.
It was the first time when everybody in the cast seemed to understand how they were going to make this character their own.
Well, we all have a mutual friend, Missy, who constantly is talking about, she loves the show too, and she's constantly saying how season 1, they shouldn't have done season 1, and she says that if the show would have began with the Dundies and just it would have been, that's to her would have been. I don't agree with that, but that's my point, is to say the Dundies is such a great episode for that reason, because everybody comes together. What you were saying, piggybacking now.
And like I said, whenever I tell people to watch it, I'm like, look, start with basketball. You get 2 seasons in episode 1, then you get to the Dundies and you'll get it. Everybody hits their stride. Everybody kind of has figured out their characters, but it's also the first episode where we get the office rallying behind Michael. It's the first time where he's not just the dipshit boss that they put up with, like when those high school or college kids or whatever they are start throwing shit at him, and they rally him to come back and finish the Dundies. It's the first time where they actually come together as a family. Everybody involved is there and they're ready to do it. It's really it's the first time we get introduced to Michael's song parodies. Hold Me Closer, Tiny Dundee. Just the OPP thing that he does. Yeah, it's just he's a lot of fun. Dwight with the sound effects on the keyboard. Drunk Pam.
I was going to say standing up to Roy.
Drunk Pam standing up to Roy to stay and hang out. There's a lot of really great seeds that get planted in this episode that become much bigger things later. I really feel like this is the first time that you start to view this group that works together as a family, and you start to understand that we're all in this together. Me, the audience, them all working together, everybody's lives. We're this is all of us. This is what we're going to do. It's just and it's like I said, there's so many little things in this episode that eventually play out, that eventually are bigger things. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's really funny. Like I said, just Drunk Pam, which, by the way, there's a great, not actually part of the show moment that's tangentially related to this episode, which is Jenna Fisher on her Instagram, one time posted a picture of a Chili's and was like, I don't know if I can get in yet. And then the actual official Chili's account replied to her and told her that her lifetime ban had been lifted.
That's amazing.
And that she was welcome into it. So it's a funny episode. It's heartwarming. I feel like it's the first time that we really start to understand that this Jim Pam thing is, maybe in basketball a little bit, but you start to really understand that you've got this mutual attraction between Jim and Pam, and start to see that it's not just one-sided, just Jim lusting after an engaged woman. Everybody's very funny. And like I said, for them all to come together and rally Michael into finishing the Dundies, talking Michael out of Pam getting the longest engagement award,
that's what I was going to bring up.
And she gets whitest sneakers.
Yeah,
and it's just there's a lot of great things. Plus, it's just the Dundies is one of Michael's first great episodes, and it's one of Michael's great last episodes. Right? The Dundies are great bookends to what Michael Scott was to this show. And this episode, I agree with your friend Missy. If you can get people on at this episode, I'll usually step them back 1 or 2 to basketball. but this is the episode that's going to get people on board. This episode is what's going to make people want to keep watching because they're going to want to see all these things play out.
And the amazing Pam line, I feel God in this Chili's tonight.
I feel God in this Chili's tonight.
And, it's an amazing episode.
Drink maximum, but apparently this lady was sneaking drinks off of other people.
Yes. If you wait until the ice melts, you can drink it again, and it's called second drink. Yeah.
So fucking funny. So funny. They have Stanley's wife is a different actress in this one, right? Than she later on becomes. I mean, whatever.
Well, no, actually, so upon multiple rewatches, after this episode, we only ever see Stanley's mistress, who I believe is played by the chick from Community. But you never actually see Stanley's wife
chick from Community.
Because in Niagara, he takes his mistress, which is the chick from Community.
No,
right?
the chick from Community plays the Staples employee that works at the Staples when Dwight gets. Yeah.
But this, I don't know that it's a different actress because the only other time you see Stanley with a girl is Niagara, and that's his mistress because Phyllis makes the comment, Stanley's wife loves this hat. So that's the mistress that he took to the Niagara wedding. So I don't know that there was ever a different actress who played Stanley's wife or if we just never saw her again.
That's good bit of trivia for those people who run the trivia.
Oh, yeah, that's me.
All right, Jeff, what do you got for your number one, brother?
So my number one is an episode, like I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, that anytime somebody asks me what's your favorite Office episode, my brain automatically defaults to this, and it's season 3, episode 1, Gay Witch Hunt. Gay Witch Hunt.
Yeah.
Gay Witch Hunt is such a fucking fantastic episode. And again, total inappropriate Michael Scott. Season 3, episode 1, it's the first episode after the Pam and Jim kiss.
Casino night.
It's Casino Night. It's the first episode where Jim's in the new office. You meet Andy Bernard for the first time. You meet Karen for the first time. You see Andy Bernard lose his mind with the fucking Jello, the calculator in the Jello. The entire episode of just Michael, and the thing he doesn't ever. There's not a point where he doesn't. I'm trying to figure out the right way to say it, where his foot is not in his mouth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because from the beginning, it's like, he's like, and I do not support the term, but he says it in the show. But he's like, I used to call my friends faggy in college just because it was like something lame.
No, dude, the whole argument, the whole conversation that he has with Toby, where he goes, yeah, you can't say faggy, and he goes, but why? It just means lame or whatever. And he goes, yeah, but why don't you? He goes, I think Oscar prefers you just use lame, or he goes, but that's what faggy means. He's like, well,
that's what faggy means. Like that.
He tells Oscar.
That's the line that gets me. That's what faggy means. Like,
and then, do you guys remember why he called him that? The reason why he called him that?
No.
Which is another reason why I love the episode. He called him that because he said he liked Shakespeare in Love more than Die Hard.
Yeah.
So he goes, no, I like Shakespeare in Love more than Die Hard.
And I love the fact that Toby was like, but you can't. You can't do that because Oscar's actually gay, and then that flips a switch in Michael, and he goes, "That's not funny, dude. That's not like that's over the line."
Okay. Like it was the fact that Toby says Oscar's actually gay is when Michael feels like the line is crossed.
Yeah, he's like,
that's so good.
That's over the line, dude. Relax, like, hey.
And when he goes to apologize to Oscar, that he's like, maybe we can go out for like dinner or drinks, and you can tell me how you can do that to another man. I rewatched that episode today because I love it so much.
Can I just tell you, there's so many times throughout the show where they talk about when Kevin talks about prison, and he was like, "You'd like prison, Oscar."
You don't know about prison? You don't know about prison. Love it. You'd love it.
So funny.
And then you've got like they tell him don't say anything. So of course the first thing Michael does is tell Dwight. And then like there's that one shot of them in the office, and he's like, who else do you think is gay? And he goes, well, maybe Angela. She's kind of uptight. And he goes, no. Dwight's like, definitely not. And he goes, what? You can't picture her with another woman? And you see Dwight just smile and look at the camera with a smirk.
And that exact same scene is they call Jim to find out where to buy Gator, and he's like, yeah, let me check Sharper Image. Oh, they're sold out. Maybe it was Brookstone. He's like pretending.
Dwight's like, let me check Brookstone's website. Like,
and then at the very end, Jim sends Dwight the actual Gator, and when he hits his crotch, since it's a metal detector,
puts it on Oscar.
Yes.
He puts it on Oscar first. He goes, oh, good, it works.
And then he puts it on it when it hits his crotch, and it goes off, and he's just like shocked.
Here's what I love about that scene is when they pan over, when the camera pans over to Pam, and Pam has that smirk, like, man, I fucking miss him. Like that's like that. I was like, it's all full circle, man. It's all really, it's great. It's fucking great.
One of the best parts of this episode is when Kevin finds out right at the beginning, and he's just giggling incessantly for like they just show him giggling like uncontrollably. Then they show Angela, and she's just like, I knew it all along, or whatever. And she makes that Will and Grace comment. She's like, it's a little too loud for me. I do love it when Harry Connick Jr.'s on. And then like it goes back to Kevin, and he's giggling again, still like turning red, just giggling incessantly. And then, I mean, the big highlight of the episode, him telling Oscar, I'm going to do this. And he kisses him, which that was completely improvised. That scene was completely improvised. They were not supposed to kiss, nothing. And he went in for the kiss, and he's like, I did it. And then Dwight gets up to give him a kiss too, and he's like, no, Dwight, get down. But the episode also gives us that line, we're all homos. Homo sapiens, like,
yes,
you know, like.
I love when he says. I love when Oscar talks about. He goes, I got a 3-month paid vacation and a car. All I had to do was sign something that I wasn't gonna sue the company. And then he looks into the camera and he goes, kids, sometimes it pays to be gay.
There have been so many great little Oscar throwaways, like are in that same vein, like. There's one where when they think the company's shutting down and he's in the confessional, he's like, I've been looking for a reason to leave Gil for a little bit. I might try girls for a little while. Then there's the episode where he's filming the It Gets Better video at the very beginning, and Robert California jumps in.
It's so good. He has a great one. Oscar has a great one where he says, "Oh fuck, I can't even talk about it because it's gonna be my number one." I'm sorry, but he has a bunch of.
We'll talk. Yeah. And then what's cool is that going full circle, my number 4 pick, A Benihana Christmas, he actually comes in at the end with his husband while Angela's singing Little Drummer Boy and goes, "No, it's too soon," and then walks right back out. So, but I love this episode. I mean, it's. I cackle every time I watch this episode, and it's the uncomfortable Michael, but it's the cast around him, like just the reactions that people have, and it's just and then like what's her face? Oh my god, I'm blanking out on her. Mindy Kaling, Kelly goes up there and she's like, oh my god, I didn't know, like oh good, I have a gay friend now, you know. And then like Dwight went one other thing when they're in the office, that it's like, well, you know, what about Oscar? And Dwight's like, no way. And Michael's like, well, and he goes, that's impossible. He doesn't wear women's dresses. Like that's so what good. Dwight's like thought of what a gay person is. Like, but it's just, I mean, I completely love that episode. Like it's one that. The moment somebody says it, I go to that episode because I just remember laughing so hard during that episode.
And when they have that, when the episode of the gossip, and they spread a rumor, Michael spreads a rumor that Andy Bernard is gay, and Andy starts having doubts, and he asks Oscar, like, "Am I gay?" And he goes, "I don't know. Are you?" Like he's like, and he's having this whole conversation, and then
I don't know, you might be a little bit gay.
And then I love the fact that he looks into the camera. He goes, this can't possibly fall on me. This responsibility. How is this my responsibility? This can't possibly be all on me. I think it's fucking great, man.
Why would Brad Pitt continue trying to kiss you if you were fighting him off?
So good, man.
You got Dwight. Oh man, it looks like Michael's gay. I guess I do have a gay friend.
That's so funny. Yeah, that's so good.
But yeah, man, I think it's a fantastic episode. Oh, and the gay porn search that Dwight does.
Why's looking at gay pornography on his computer?
Michael asked me to. Michael told me it's research. He's like, it's whoa. Well, it's, you know what? It's beautiful.
So fucking weird. Such a weirdo.
But yeah, that's my number one.
Great episode, man. Great episode. My number one, look, I've said this before. I love this episode. It's by far, in a way, my favorite. I don't know about far and away, but I think it's one of the greatest finales of any sitcom of all time. I think the finale, I fucking love that. Another double episode, but I love that episode. I love the finale. It's fanfare in the greatest way possible. The fact that they have the wedding, Dwight's wedding, and then they have the DVD, that whole panel. Both those episodes individually are great, but the fact that they're both the same one it makes it so much easier to choose this episode for me. Everything, the fact that Michael came back and he didn't take over the complete episode. They just had him there for that one scene. He had so very few lines. He had That's What She Said, which is the fucking perfect Michael first line back into the show. And then he talked about how it's like all your kids grew up and married each other. It's which I think is fucking great. But the fact that that Jim is playing only good pranks, I think was just fucking everything. And the way Dwight actually became a good manager, and the fact that he's the character that grew the most and had the best growth in that show, and I fucking loved it. And I love the fact that he goes, he thought that he coworkers. He go, I don't have coworkers, I have subordinates. And he talked about his best friend being his best man at the wedding, which talks about Jim, talking about Oscar's the accountant. My accountant is the godfather to my child, which again, that's a whole other thing about Oscar and Angela coming together after she was so fucking so disrespectful when he came out of the closet, about so homophobic and then they seasons later to see how far Oscar was the only one to help her out when she was in deep shit. That whole thing was fantastic, and there's so many subplots. Erin finding out her parents, finding out who her real parents were. That was beautiful. That was lovely. The whole thing is fucking great, man. So the finale to me is one of the greatest finales of any sitcom of all time. Like I try to think back of other, again, sitcoms, not TV shows in general, just sitcoms, because I know people are going to be like Breaking Bad and fucking, I'm like, all right, and Game of Thrones. I'm kidding, nobody says Game of Thrones, but that to me is what I keep thinking about when I think about The Office, is the finale. It's just fucking beautiful to me.
I love this pick. The only reason I didn't put it is like I felt it. I'm not trying to downplay your pick. It's just like I was like, that feels kind of cliche. But at the same time, it's not, because so often shows don't have great finales, and they really did do an amazing job with this one, with everything they did, with it being a year later and explaining why the DVD cast would even be there anymore, because they'd already buried the fact that they were watching the show, so why would they still be filming and stuff like that. It really does give some great moments, but like that moment where they feel like nobody's come because the auditorium's empty, and then Andy walks out and the fucking lobby is just shoulder to shoulder. People are just right, and then and he's like, oh my god. And then you find out that he actually has been successful and does work for Cornell and gave a great, commencement speech and stuff like that. They did a really good job. Oh my God, I suddenly cannot think of her name. The chick from Doctor Who.
Catherine Tate.
Yes, finally gets her baby, and it's just they do a really, really good job with it. I'm not mad at that pick at all.
I love that line from Andy Bernard, who he says, they always say that these are the best years of your life. I wish somebody would tell you when the best years, so you can, like, that fucking is such a great line.
That was the line that I didn't want to ruin in case somebody had the finale as one of their episodes when I was talking about the Robert California line back on my number 4. Like that is the line, right? I wish that there was a way to know when you were in the good times. But I like the Robert California line is like a precursor to that. But yeah, the way that Andy said it absolutely sold it.
It's fucking great. I mean, everything about this episode, the wedding, the fact that they're standing in graves, and she goes, I get the symbolism of the graves, but why are they so shallow? Like, it's so fucking funny.
And they set that up in like season 2 or 3.
Yes.
Dwight made a comment that Shroops get married in their own grave, and then brought it back around to that point. Like, mwah.
Yeah. So great. Everything about this fucking episode to me, I thought was the perfect way. I cried multiple times throughout this episode, which is not saying much because I cry a lot. But I just, and then they made it funny when they were like, so what was in the note that you gave to Pam? And he's like, well, we're just going to go ahead and keep some things to secret. And he's like, great. So what did it say? Like they didn't give a fuck. It's so good, man. It's so fucking good. I love the fact that, and that's another thing, that Jim takes responsibility for not handling that whole thing to Philadelphia, that move where, like, he's like, I didn't handle it correctly, I wasn't up front. Like he mans up about that, which again, something else I love about the dude. So it's fucking fantastic. So that's my pick, the finale.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
God, just Jim owning up to things, man. The line, the killer that will get me every fucking time, and I know it's not the finale, but you're just talking about Jim manning up. That moment where he actually does, and all of that comes to a head, and he plays that DVD for her that he makes, and he actually gives her the card, and she reads it, and he looks at her and he says, "Not enough for me. You're everything to me."
Man.
Like that. Oh, Jesus! Like that moment gets. You called it chicken skin the other day, which cracked me up. Like, I've always called it goosebumps, but you called it chicken skin.
I always call it goosebumps. And to be honest with you, the reason I call it chicken skin that time is because I was around you and I was like, white people call it chicken skin, so I'm going to go with white people. So,
see, to me, the Jim moment, like really quick, that Jim moment that got me was when Pam finds out about her parents' divorce. And she goes up to Jim and Jim's like, was it something I said? And she's like, yeah. And so you're like, oh shit. And then, she's like, you told him that, I'm your world, and that you couldn't, you knew from the start that you couldn't love anybody else. And like, all this stuff. She's like,
the line is when you walk into the room and you see me.
Yeah, that's what it is.
You know that I'm the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with.
And I guess my dad didn't have that with my mom.
Right. Yeah.
And
which is
like,
beautiful,
okay?
which is beautiful and sad at the same fucking time. Like that, I think that's a perfect balance of beautiful and sad, because to know that about your parents, that your parents don't feel that way about each other, is sad as shit. But to know that your husband feels that way about you, that's like a fucking great, you know what I mean? That's a great silver lining, I guess.
When my kids grow up, they'll know that's the truth.
Yeah, like that. They're like most kids
that line, which is.
Yeah,
that most kids say that their parents are meant for each other. Well, my kids can say that with certainty or something.
Yeah, it's fucking fun. And another thing I like about the finale, and this is set up a few times before, especially in the last season. What I love about the finale is that they explain why the camera crew was there. Like the whole time, Parks and Rec, another mockumentary, they never explain the fucking camera crew. They never talk about what the fuck show they're making, what documentary they're making. They don't bring it up. It's just, we accept it and that's fine. But I love the fact that The Office brought, you know what I mean? Michael's
Dwight's talking to him. He's like, why are you even here? Like, the show's aired. Like, what could you possibly be doing?
Yeah, it's fucking great. The fact that Michael's farewell, he gives out the battery pack, the microphone. I just think it all came together, man. So number ones, we had Stress Relief, The Dundies, which one was that one? Gay Witch Hunt, and Finale, and the finale. So for our mountain, we have three repeats. We have Stress Relief, The Convict, and Niagara Falls. So really, we're just looking for one. So I don't know what you guys want to pick, but we got the ones we got left are Pool Party, Drug Testing, Benihana Christmas, The Company Picnic, Threat Level Midnight, Dinner Party, and The Dundies. Those in the finale. Those are the only choices that we have left. So I don't know what you guys want to pick, because we had three repeats.
All right. I'll start off then. I'll plead my case for the Dundies. I think that this one deserves to be in the final mountain because not only is this the episode where everybody hits their stride and it starts to take on its own identity separate from what the UK show was, but this is also a great start point. You could, like you said, your friend always says, you could tell somebody to start at this show, at this episode, they would learn enough from this point on that they wouldn't be in the dark for the rest of the show. So it's very funny. It's very redeeming. There's a lot going on in this one, and you could absolutely start your journey into the office with the Dundies, and you could go through and not know you ever missed anything. So for that aspect, I think it deserves a spot.
Well, you beat me to it. I was going to say I think the Dundies, even though that wasn't my pick, I think the Dundies should probably be on there.
David, you were saying something?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Oh, okay. Well, clearly, no, it's like the microphone is cutting in and out. So right when you spoke, the microphone cut off. So I was like, I don't know what you said. So that's all. Well, it clearly doesn't matter what my opinion is because I'm outvoted 3-1. So it clearly doesn't matter.
I mean, what's your opinion? Talk to us.
But here's the thing: you can't go wrong with any of the episodes. I honestly, even an episode that I don't like Dinner Party. To put that on the Final Mountain would not be a bad episode because I know it's loved. I know it's, you know what I mean. Everybody, I know a lot of people love that episode. I don't personally like it, but it's not because it's a bad episode. Again, just to go back to, I don't like this episode because it accomplishes what it sets out to do, which is to make you feel super uncomfortable. I just don't like, personally, I don't like feeling uncomfortable, but that was the whole fucking thing. It's like saying that I don't like a horror movie because it scared me. Yeah, fucker, that's the whole fucking point. That's what they wanted to do. So none of these are.
I think nobody's trying to make an argument for that.
Nobody's. My point is that
he's like yelling, like.
But my point is, there's no bad choice. There's no bad choice. And to say that I wanted the finale because it's my pick, it would be obvious and selfish. I think that's because just on the sheer fact that, you know, it's a finale, and so many, like we all talked about, so many finales fucking fall on their asses and aren't great, and this finale was phenomenal. But again, the Dundies is right. You can start the show at the Dundies, and it encompasses everything that this show is, and you're not wrong.
By George Washington's on the real Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. So the George Washington of this one would actually be the Jello episode. So it's not really
the first one that matters.
Yeah, this is more like the Abraham Lincoln. So the
which, remember, if you're racist, I'll send the North after you.
I'll attack you with the North.
Oh, so fucking good. The Dundies is great, man. I think it's fantastic. So the Final Mountain is Stress Relief, The Convict, Niagara Falls, and the Dundies. So all in all, man, you can't go wrong with that fucking mountain, dude. I really don't think there's a bad episode to this show. Like, I legitimately believe that there's episodes that I don't like, again, because it makes me feel uncomfortable, but I don't think there's a bad episode to this show. I don't think there's, like, every episode has something redeemable.
No, I'm totally with you. Like, the only reason I ever skip episodes is if we're watching when the kids are awake, we've got to skip one that's just going to lead to an uncomfortable family situation.
Oh, right.
Like, I don't want to explain to you why these two guys are fighting over Angela. It doesn't matter that one's marrying her and one's just banging her. You don't need to know about that.
Yeah. Also, why Angela? I don't want to have to describe that.
Everyone.
That's fantastic. But yeah, man, that's a great mountain, man. So thank you guys for checking us out. Make sure you check out the other podcasts that we are on. Daniel DeBona is on What You Got, which is a great YouTube podcast. It can be found at geekbro.net. Jeff is on The Layer. So make sure you guys check out The Layer on that. The Layer podcast. Again, another Geek Bro podcast. It's found at geekbro.net. And check out the other podcasts that we're all on. Well, either What's Up Bro or Better Let Me Tell You. But make sure you guys check that out. Check out geekbro.net. And that's how lists are made.